Well, hey, friends, thanks for joining us for episode 9 of the Cutting Room podcast, where we are going to be talking about all things from our message series. I've got Christian with me again on the podcast here, and our desire in this podcast, if you're not familiar, is we're just sitting and sometimes it's random stuff. I get it. Maybe that helps you get to know us better. But our brains, because we are deeply in love with Jesus and God, always go towards spiritual things, at least eventually.
Yeah.
And
At some point, we'll get to it.
yeah. I hope you guys get something out of this anyway. So off camera, Kristen and I were chatting because if you're not familiar, there's a group of monks. I can't remember how many, 18 to 24, something in that range, that started walking from Texas, right? Somewhere in Texas? Is that where they started?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So, who knows how these things happened or what inspired them to do it, but it's called the Walk for Peace, and that's what they're doing. And started out, honestly, with not a whole lot of fanfare. And I believe at one point when they would stop, they were stopping. They have tents with them, and they would just stay in a tent. But at one time, I was reading they camped out in a cemetery. I'm like, that'd be a little creepy. But it's picked up steam as it's approaching. It's they, not it. They are approaching Charlotte. I think they're supposed to be in somewhere coming through here tomorrow, Thursday. Today's Wednesday. We're recording this Wednesday, so Thursday or something like that.
Yeah. I think it's either tonight or tomorrow.
Right. I mean, they're walking, guys, so there's no, and people are stopping them along the way as they go. It is a fascinating, what we were chatting about is it's fascinating. I was sharing, because we can read stories how Jesus traveled around, Israel, and think that, well, that's an ancient thing and no one would do that anymore. And here these guys are doing exactly what Jesus did. Like, it's just guys walking on the roads that we have made, which is what Jesus did. And it's been, building momentum. Like there are pretty big crowds that kind of greet them as they go down the street and give them various things. I've seen people give them flowers and all. And right off the bat, let me just say, there's a lot of questions like, hey, aren't you guys pastors at a Christian church? Why are you talking about this? I believe we can learn from anybody and anything. I think God can teach us some things, no matter if I believe, and I do believe, that those guys are following a kind of a false guidance. It doesn't mean that their heart, is not pointed in a right direction or anything like that. We can learn some things from them. And I think that's why I'm watching it. I know you said you're actually following, like you click the follow to alert and get all the highlights from it. What do you think it is for you?
Yeah. Well, again, from the start, I've been fascinated by it. It's someone, I mean, obviously they're not running a social media page, but someone picked up on their walk a few days or weeks in and just started saying, I want to document this. And so I ran across it on Facebook, and I clicked the notify. I don't like Facebook notification. Like I don't want to know who posts when and what, where. But I did this. I was like, I want to know. So every time they update, I read it. So it's fascinating to me that, so the backstory that I understand is that these are Buddhist monks, right? So they follow the teachings of Buddha, and a lot of self-help, like center your chi stuff. You know what I mean? Like Jesus says, abandon yourself. They're like, no, yourself is the most important thing. So again, there's conflicting understandings of anthropology, theology, salvation, all those things, right? But basically, they stay out of culture, out of society, right? They're ostracized themselves. They separate themselves from the world, and they only come out when they feel that the world around them is out of balance. It's chaotic, which I think is fascinating, right? When you just think of all the other stuff you see on Facebook with people arguing about everything. and we've talked exclusively and extensively about this culture of offense and hatred and anger, that people just love it. And so these guys have said, "Oh, the world's out of balance. Let's walk to Washington, D.C., the literal political seat of the United States of America."
Yeah, there's
Like,
no
I
unrest
just
coming out of Washington, D.C., right?
no, no, it's and I'm like, that in and of itself is just fascinating to me that they set the and again, I don't know what their goal is. Like, are they gonna get to Washington and then sit down with the president? Are they gonna talk to Senate and Congress? Like, I don't know. I don't know any of that. I just think it's fascinating that they've said the world is out of balance. It's chaotic and angry, and we're gonna walk from their temple to Washington to bring about peace, to at least bring awareness to people
Yeah.
that the world is out of balance and we need peace. Now, again, like, we're not talking about world peace. We're not talking about,
No, it's not a
the
war thing. No.
right.
It's a
No, it's
cultural
it's
unrest. Yeah.
it's humanity. Like,
Mhm.
humanity is just in an uproar. And so, yeah, I've been following it. I'm gonna continue to follow it. There's like 10,000, I think, people they've said at certain points have joined them and walk whether they walk with them for like a mile or 5 or whatever. Um, one of them I read got hit by a car in Texas and had to have a leg amputated, I believe it said, the article said, and he's rejoined them. So
I
he got ran over by a car, right?
Right.
He had his leg amputated, and now he's rejoining. I don't know if he's on a crutch, I don't know if he's in a wheelchair. I don't know. I don't know the specifics. I don't even know if
Oh,
that's
yeah, you told me
completely
that, I'm
true.
like, "I hope it's a wheelchair." Because could you imagine crutching it from
Well,
Texas?
I I showed you that picture, like, some of them have shoes on, but most of them just have, like, it looks like, gauze wrapping on their toes and feet, like
Yeah.
they're mummies, right? Like
Yeah,
mummy
like
mummy
mummy
wrap.
wraps. Yeah, mhm.
And I'm
Yeah,
like,
and then
I won't even walk in my house without shoes on. I ain't walking across the country, right? And
yeah.
so, I yeah, and I think I told you this off air. For me, it has it's driven me, and this is the point where it's like you can learn from anybody. It's driven me back to Jesus' Sermon on the Mount where he said, "Blessed are the ones who are peacemakers." And I'm like, I've had to go back and read, what does it mean to be a peacemaker? Right? It doesn't mean you don't flip tables over. It just means that it's like I'm looking and working and acting towards helping people understand what it's like to live in the kingdom. Not in the chaotic world that we're experiencing, but to live in the kingdom that has come and that is being built continually until Jesus returns to coronate it, make it whole. So that's what I've learned from the monks is just to go back to the scriptures and say, "Okay, Jesus, teach me how to be a peacemaker." Um, I'm not
Uh,
walking to Washington D.C. So what does that look like? What does it look in my home? What does it look like at my church? What does it look like in my job? What does it look like at the grocery? What does it look like in a roundabout? Where people can't drive. Um, you know,
yeah, yeah.
what does it take?
Y
So
you know,
that's what I've learned.
in that sermon, uh, "Blessed are the peacemakers," I had to look it up real quick. I mean, obviously, you and I, we both know the Sermon on the Mount, and they're linked to certain things.
Yep.
And the phrase there, "Blessed are the peacemakers, they'll be called sons of God."
Hmm.
And okay, when we bring peace, we are God's children. Like we God do. It's almost like one of the most godlike things you can do is bring peace.
And by the way, we've talked about this extensively. That sons of God is not B'nai Elohim. It's a different translation there.
Yeah.
It's a different relational tool. But what it does mean is it highlights the adoptive nature
Mhm.
of faith.
Yeah.
And I've talked about this before. Like, I struggle with that. I struggle with worth, like knowing that God loves me and understanding why. Just because that's what I struggle with. And one of the things that I've begun praying is and I actually heard this in a song, which is really odd. I was just listening to a song on whatever music thing, but the person stops singing and starts preaching in the middle of this song and says, "I reject the spirit of abandonment and I receive the spirit of adoption."
Mm,
And man, I've just been praying that and praying that and praying that. And the way this all kind of then fits together, bring it back to the center here, is that a peacemaker becomes a son of God. Well, the reason being is because we're at peace in our heart. We haven't brought world peace. It's like you lay your head on your pillow and then you get it off your pillow in the morning because you are at peace with who God is, who you are, how those stories connect. And man, I've been learning so much about that. Like
mhm,
that one area is probably the most I've grown in the last year, 6 months especially, of just what does it mean to live at peace with God? What does it mean to experience life with Jesus? That's what we're talking about right now in this series, is not just knowing ethereally who Jesus is, but like experiencing him for real. And so yeah, so these monks, like I think I said this off camera. I, I may not agree with their theology, but I agree with their posture.
mhm, yeah,
I agree
exactly.
with the way they're going about it.
Yeah, when I think about this, you say, "Hey, Clay, what are some takeaways for us as followers of Jesus?" You know, we're not followers of the teachings of Buddha. We're followers of
Right.
Jesus.
Which, by the way, Buddha would recognize Jesus as a fabulous teacher.
Yeah, I mean, and all the major world religions have a place for him.
Mhm.
Those places are not the incarnate Son of God, but they have a place because
Right.
they recognize
Yeah.
him. But what I would say is, as Christ followers, take note, not necessarily of what the monks are doing. It's fascinating. Take note of how many thousands, which will be tens and tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands by the time they complete their work, of our neighbors, all right, who are yearning for peace. And again, this isn't, we're not at war. These aren't the hippies who are out there saying we need to have peace and get out of, in my generation, it was get out of Vietnam. But like they are yearning for peace, like we said, civilly in our discourse,
Sure.
in how we go about things.
Yeah.
We just read what Jesus said. Blessed are the peacemakers. So
Uh-huh.
what I would say to us, me included, when you engage in conversation, be it like we're doing right now, actual conversation, be it anything that's electronic or digital, your calling is to be a peacemaker,
Mm.
not a pot stirrer. And
Yeah. You know,
like,
there it's interesting that you say that, like, and I shouldn't laugh, but I have to. Like, I just have to laugh because it's so it makes me so angry that people will post on their social media and they'll just come out and say, "I'm gonna stir the pot here." Boom. I'm like, "Why? Why is that your goal?" There's and I'm talking about people who, like, these people are they follow after Jesus. They say they follow after Jesus.
yeah,
Like, I can't question that. If they say they do, I believe them. But I'm saying, like, Jesus never told us to stir a pot.
mm-mm.
Like, that's not the plan. Um, but
Yeah, you think about all the emotions that we'll just put it in the category of pot stirring, outrage, whatever. You think about
Mhm.
all those emotions that it spawns. Are any of those emotions like godly? Um, like, are you stirring up love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, meekness, self-control? Are you stirring up the what the Spirit bring? No, no. So as a Christ follower, die to that. I take up my cross daily. The cross is a machine of death.
Mm.
And every day I say, well, what has to die? There are plenty of things in my own life. We need to
Mhm.
consider those things. You know what needs to die? my keyboard. It
Yes.
just it needs to die. I need to quit using it as a tool of destruction and disruption. And, you know,
You know, it's interesting to me that, and I don't know if we talked about this before. I've had this conversation so many times. I don't remember where I've said it or who I said it with, but it's fascinating to me that the people who invented social media said that it's working exactly the way they wanted it to.
yeah, we've talked about that. Comes from that, I think it's on
Now they
Netflix, you
regret
can
it.
get it. Oh,
They
big
regret it,
time. Yeah,
but they're saying it's doing exactly what we wanted it to do.
yeah,
And I wonder even that, and we've talked about this because of our familiarity with the spirit realm and stuff like that. We've talked about how, technology oftentimes is given to humanity in order to disrupt humanity, right? Like we're given abilities to do things that we probably shouldn't have, and the enemy leverages that.
yeah,
And I have no doubt in my mind that when when research says that we are the most anxious, depressed generation of all time. You think about that. People who lived through the dark ages,
yeah,
we're we're more anxious and depressed, and it's wholly set on the fact that we live our lives, we let our feelings be attached to and stoked by what we see in media, social media, um, and yeah, again, it's all fascinating. I don't have any answer for it other than, yeah, like you said, just stop. Just put your keyboard up. Just
I
because somebody says something on Facebook does not mean you have to respond.
yeah, I mean, we tell people all the time who have struggles, let's call them emotional struggles, I'm not even talking about mental health struggles. You got a
Mhm.
problem with anger. We'll tell you, you need to go talk to someone and get to the root of that problem so that you stop blowing up in anger. If you're a pot stirrer and all you do is operate from outrage, you need to go talk to someone. And
Yeah.
I would dare say add to that mix if you haven't already, Holy Spirit, search deep inside of me and tell me what is going on. And if you can
Mhm.
find the person to talk to who will also guide and do that with you, boom, perfect, ideal. And you can't just keep doing that. We wouldn't,
Right, right.
if you saw a guy that you knew at church and you watched it happen over and over where he just blew up all over his kids, all over his wife, are you just going to stand back and say, well, yeah, there's nothing really he needs to do? Like, no, you're going to say, hey, you need to. So I would be saying the same thing. Like,
Yeah.
we cannot show that as the example of what it means to be a follower of Jesus.
Right.
And the our society, the world, it's not just politics, it's everywhere. They're going to continue to encourage you to do that. And the algorithms themselves will encourage you to do that. You want to get popular
Yep.
online? One of the ways to do it is to become outrageous.
Yep.
And we've
Be
seen that.
outraged or naked.
I'm going to say we've seen that sexually, and we
Yep.
see that, in the normal senses of you're just outrageous. And if you're outrageous,
Mhm.
you're going to get attention. The algorithm's going to give it to you.
Yep.
That doesn't mean that you should. Paul talks a lot about you can do a lot of things. You can actually do all things,
Yeah.
but not everything is profitable. Like, it's not
Mhm.
beneficial.
Yeah.
And as a Christ follower, certainly you can do those things. It's not going to be beneficial. It's definitely not going to help your relationship with Jesus.
Mhm.
It's not going to help you find life and life to the full. That's an exchange. When you engage in those things, it robs life from you.
Mhm.
The Bible is really clear. The result of sin, okay, and take out of your category whatever sin ain't, but like sin, this thing inside of us, the result of that is death. It's going to
Yeah.
extract something from you. So
It takes
that,
away life,
yeah,
period.
we
Like, it
we
just
we
takes life.
should, for our own self-serving reasons, we should. run from that. I don't want to experience
Exactly.
any more death in my life, you know?
Listen, the only pot I won't stir is a gumbo pot,
Oh, yeah. No,
and
can't
I
do
want a
that,
big
bro.
one full. Mm.
Yeah.
Anyway, don't get me started on gumbo and boudin. We gotta talk about experience. Hey, you talking about experiencing Jesus. Whenever you
Well,
eat Southwest Louisiana boudin that's been
uh,
smoked,
you
mm,
introduced that to me and our friends Ken and David, when we came up to see you in Indiana a couple of years back.
mhm,
That was from a food perspective. That was life changing.
yeah.
Like I
Listen,
have
it's
never had boudin. Like, what
shout
is
out to
this
Southwest
thing,
Louisiana.
man?
Listen, and in Louisiana, not just Southwest Louisiana, in Louisiana in general, like, there's not a gas station probably that you can't stop at and get a link of boudin ready to eat right then. Like,
Yeah,
it's sorta like in, like, Georgia and South Carolina, they got boiled peanuts
yeah,
at all these gas stations that people get. Well, in Louisiana, cracklins, which are not those are not glorified tater skins, like real cracklins or boudin, fresh, ready to eat at just about any gas station you stop at. And man, it is glorious.
yeah.
Oof.
I would love that. Georgia is boiled peanuts and biscuits. Everywhere you go, gas stations or not, they're making homemade biscuits. Not a
Yeah.
regular name brand Shell or anything, but if it's a independently operated gas station that
Right,
might
right,
have
yeah.
Shell gas, you're going to be able to get a homemade biscuit and boiled peanuts. Now you probably don't eat them both at the same time. So boiled peanuts in the afternoon, biscuit in the morning.
Yeah.
And came here to North
Or
Carolina. Kind of, I mean, we're in the South. I was expecting at least the biscuit portion.
Mhm.
And like, hey, where can I go get biscuit? Bojangles? Like, no, not like, you know,
Right.
I need, Tom on the corner, like making biscuits.
Mhm.
No, we had one, two, three. In addition to the gas stations, within 2 miles of my house were these little shacks that were biscuit shacks. And
Mhm.
they were all on the side of the road as everybody was heading to work because it's in the morning.
Yeah.
There were three right next to my house. So you go in and we get, you guys use this term in Alabama, big cat head biscuits.
Cat head biscuits, yeah.
Yep, they're the size of a cat head. And so
Mhm.
you go in, you get a big cat head biscuit with whatever sausage, egg, and cheese, bacon, egg, and cheese,
Mhm.
steak and
Country
cheese,
ham,
country ham. And
fried
I would
bologna.
eat a
You get a
biscuit. That's
fried
probably
bologna
how
biscuit?
I look like I had a biscuit every day. That's how I got here. I had a biscuit every day. I'm
Look,
driving in the church
and
office.
listen.
I'd go past this place called Style Bar Biscuit, and I'd
Ooh.
grab me a biscuit
Now
every day.
you don't want no Wappum biscuit.
A
A
what?
Wappum biscuit.
I
Wappum
don't.
biscuit.
I don't know what
That's
that
them
is.
kind that you take that can and open it up and whop it on the counter and it opens
Oh, and
up.
then it blows up and scares you.
No Wappum biscuits. That's not what we talking about here. We talking about
Yeah.
somebody's got a thing of Crisco back there and some flour kneading it out and making biscuits.
Yeah, this brings it up. This could be something people can drop in the comments. We could have a little bit of a dialogue. This would be fun to find out. So if you're from somewhere and there you have a thing that just show up everywhere, like we're talking, you just said boudin and cracklins every store. I'm telling you,
Mhm.
biscuits are everywhere. Boiled peanuts probably not everywhere, but it's pretty frequent. But there are homemade biscuits everywhere, all over, at least the Metro Atlanta area where I grew up. So I'd love to hear, man, like wherever you're
Yeah.
from.
In
Um,
Indiana, it's Amish crack. It's a kind of a donut
mhm,
thing, like a donut hole
yeah.
kind of thing. But yeah, that's what's at gas stations in Indiana. Amish crack.
Or where my wife was from was Wisconsin. It's legit. It's cheese curds, um,
Mm,
both fried, or if it's not fried, they'll have them in a bag, like non-breaded, whatever, just regular old cheese curds. And then they have this place called Quick Trip, but it's spelled with a K, not like our Quick Trip, not cute.
right.
Quick Trip,
Mhm.
and it is like donut pastry heaven. It is the weirdest thing. You walk into this convenience store, and there's 37 different varieties of donuts, and then they have all kinds of additional pastries, not just donuts. It's just all over, and I'm like, okay, so in Wisconsin, you eat cheese curds, you drink they drink more beer than any other state in our country, and you eat these donuts.
Mhm.
Don't talk to me in the South about how we have bad bad
Yeah,
health.
exactly.
Oh,
Mm,
yeah,
that
that
sounds
that
so
is
good.
surprising to me. Jody and I, we were, this is a couple years back, pulled up, and we happened to get gas at one of these quick trips, and there was a guy that had come out, and he had, one beer in one hand that was already cracked open. He had another in a bag, and then he had a bag, and I guarantee you, I couldn't see in it. It was either cheese curds or donuts, and I'm gonna go with donuts. He had 2 2 of the boots where he had already jacked up his foot or his ankle or something. He jumps on his four-wheeler with 2 boots on, s you know, has one beer in one hand, puts another one in a cup holder, and drives off.
Listen, there
I
are
said
rednecks everywhere.
I told Jody, I said, "I think I have seen the most Wisconsin thing I have ever seen in my
Yeah,
life just now."
there are rednecks everywhere in the world. I've been all around the world. You can find a
Yeah.
redneck anywhere.
I Jody had a harsh realization when I told her that. I said, "Hey, Wisconsin is like the Alabama or Mississippi of the South. I mean, of the North." She goes,
Yeah.
What are you talking about?" I said, "Look around. It looks no different." And by that time we drive past and there's a car up on blocks, and then somebody had an assortment of random toilets sitting out in the yard.
Mhm.
There was a
Yeah.
like the trailer up on blocks and all that. And she goes, "Oh my gosh."
Yeah. You you just described Hayden, Alabama. Just drive through Hayden, Alabama. And that's what that looks like too, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, you're from Alabama. I actually was born in Birmingham, so I don't know if you call that being from Alabama because we left when I was 8 months old or something, but,
yeah.
uh, born there. Yeah, so we can talk about it a little bit, but man, I'd love to hear if you guys grew up somewhere else. Someone who was from New York, New Jersey introduced me to, um, gosh, what did they call it? So it's on a bagel, and they have this meat. It's almost like Canadian bacon.
Mm.
Um, it's got a name to it. I can't remember the name to it. So it's Canadian bacon isk, and then they put an egg and some cheese, and they call it SPK, salt, pepper, ketchup.
Hmm.
And it at first I'm like, that sounds disgusting, and then I had it. I'm like, oh, I mean, that sounds pretty good. Um,
I'd try it. As long as it's not a vegetable, I'll try it.
yeah, I forget the name of the
If
meat.
it's
Somebody could tell us in the comments what the name of the
if it's
meat
meat,
is.
bread, or potatoes, I'll try it.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know what your thing is, like, hey, we're from California and kale is in every single gas station.
Yeah, I don't want none of that. I don't want none of that.
Yeah, might be something like that. So anyway, hey,
Mm.
so we'll get back on topic here a little bit. So we've been in a series and we've been talking about this idea of experiencing God. And as you pointed out, Christian, we said it's not about knowing about God, which, I think that's how most of us were raised, is you just need to know a lot of facts and figures. You need to know about God. I grew up, we had this thing called Bible quiz. I know you didn't grow
Mm.
up in the church, but Bible quiz was this thing where you would have a competition. They would give you like a verse and then you had to quote it, or then they would start quoting a verse and you'd have to finish it and then tell where it was from. So it was not that Bible memorization is bad. It's not. But that was purely about knowledge. I mean, you just,
Right.
I'm going to know a lot of facts and figures, and I'm going to be able to beat you to the buzzer. Um, and a lot of us kind of were raised, hey, get in the word. These are all the phrases that are said. Don't misquote me. Those are all good things, except I wasn't taught as much about how to actually have an experience with Jesus, to not
Right.
just know about him, but know him.
Do you know that the Bible actually says that even Satan knows the Bible?
Yeah. Hmm. Right.
Hello? Just because you know something doesn't mean like you can look at a recipe for gumbo and know all the ingredients, but if you ain't never cooked one,
Yeah.
you don't know how to make gumbo, right?
And it doesn't do
Like,
you any
it's the
good.
same thing.
But,
You can know about the Bible. That doesn't mean you know God or experienced Him or walk with Him or
no, and the definition of I've been working on a theological framework, and one of the items in that framework is this idea of faith. And what I came to is faith is believing what is true about God. Put Jesus, whatever you want in that. Okay, but believing what is true, and I also had to explain belief, trust in, not just knowledge. But there's a second component: believing in what is true about God and choosing to order my life around that.
Mhm.
I think most people don't get the second part of faith.
Yeah. My mentor, so when again, I've struggled with identity my whole life, like, um, and so one of the things that my mentor, Ron Proctor, taught me was this faith definition. It says this, that faith is believing that what Jesus said is true, regardless of how I feel, the circumstances I'm in, or what the culture around me says.
Yeah.
And it's another way to say exactly what you said. It's ordering my life around, my emotions around, my actions around, my outlook around, you know, if I think the world is in chaos, what am I doing to help it? These monks are walking across the country,
Hmm?
right? Like,
Well,
what am
yeah,
I doing?
exactly. We can bring faith right back to here. So these guys are walking across the country, give us an example. So we go, okay, well, I know Jesus said, I believe Jesus said, blessed are the peacemakers, for they'll
Mhm.
be called the sons of God. Well, are you ordering your life around that? Or is that just a factoid that you learned? Because if you're
Mhm.
ordering your life around it, then you will be a peacemaker. Like, uh,
Thank you. Yes.
it's
Period.
period, you know? Or you could,
Doesn't mean
I
you won't make
guess you could say,
mistakes.
well, I don't really want to be blessed.
Right. Yeah, that's not for me. I don't
I, I,
I don't want all that.
and I don't even know that gives you an out. I still think, no, blessed are, Jesus meant, a lot of times we all say things with double meanings. He meant be a peacemaker.
Yeah, exactly.
And so order your life around that. So, I mean, that's how you do this. If you're sitting and say, well, what do you mean by ordering my life around? God is love. And then he tells us to be like him. Well, are you ordering your life around that? Like, what does that look like? It is more blessed to give than it is to receive. Are you ordering your life around that? Like every aspect of your life
Mhm.
around that? A- Again, faith is simple. It's not easy. But we can say these things simply, but it's not easy to do. But the older I've gotten, the more I've leaned into these things. I mean, my life hasn't worked out like I've wanted it to. I've got problems and continue to have problems and struggles. And, you know, um, we have adult children. And because of that, we have more problems and struggles. And like, but the more I center in on the things that you and I are talking about, the more I have life. And sometimes I feel like I'm weird. I don't know if you feel this way, Christian. I feel like I'm an island in the midst of a vast ocean of anger and outrage.
Mhm.
And I'm like, um, I'm not letting that affect me. I don't know why you guys are swimming around in that. You don't have
Right.
to do that. Um,
Well, yeah, and it's over and over and over again, I'm reminded that, I am 1 second away from doing anything that anybody else could or would do, right? Like, I never wanna present this front that, "Man, I have all this figured out," and I talk about, I'm pretty vulnerable when it comes then transparent when it comes to that, and, I know for a fact that if I don't every day order my life around Jesus, if I don't every day surrender, every day make a commitment, I could do what anybody else would do, right? Like, I could be angry or I could whatever. And I think if all of us would at least number 1, if we would at least be honest enough with ourselves, and number 2, we would have people in our life that are also walking the path of Jesus, like those two things, they bring about so much life when you can just be honest with yourself and then have other honest with themselves people living life with you. It becomes, again, you said it, it becomes very simple to understand what Jesus does. Um, but it also becomes easier when you have those two things in place, when you have the self awareness and you have other people in your life. Um, and again, like these monks, I don't understand. I don't, by the way, I hope they're stopping and getting boiled peanuts. I hope they're experiencing all these foods we talked about
I can almost
as they
guarantee you they
walk
got a
through.
biscuit in Georgia,
Yeah,
and
I
they
mean, I
they
hope
got some
they've done
boudin when they
something.
came through Louisiana, bro. There's well, I
Oh
don't know.
gosh,
Can
I
they
hope
eat
they did.
pork? There's all these.
Well, there's other boudin besides pork.
Okay, maybe
You
they
got to
give you a
remember,
chicken
Louisiana put
boudin
any kind of look. Louisiana folks will put any kind
or
of meat in a
beef.
queso.
It's beef they can't eat. So
I don't know.
maybe pork
I
too.
don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not. I'm not any of those things. I'll eat any kind of meat. I don't care. Yeah, my friends who don't eat pork, because they're of a different faith, I just look at them and go, "Hey, I'll eat it for you.
Oh,
I got you.
it just hit me because all life for them is sacred. They if there's a vegetarian version of boudin, that'd be the only thing they would eat.
I got it."
Yeah,
Okay, well, I'm sure there's a veg. I don't know if there's a vegetation. I
tofu
don't know if there's a.
boudin.
I don't think there's. I don't know. If there
There ain't
is,
no
ain't no
Cajun out
Cajun
there
ever
cooking
eating
with
it.
tofu. That's for sure.
Ain't no Cajun ever eating tofu boudin. I guarantee you. Somebody
Yeah,
somebody else made, but yeah, not in my house. No, we won't
yeah,
do that. But yeah, just again, and I think when we talk about experiencing Jesus, I'm not saying that it's not a personal, private thing to some degree. But I think time and over in the scriptures and in Christian history, we see that experiencing Jesus is almost exclusively communal. Like it involves other people because we're human, because we don't see everything or know everything, because we are so fallible, because we do get off track, because we do get in our own way. It's we experience Jesus more when we have other people around us experiencing,
yeah.
Jesus.
Well, it
Um,
because here's the, I like to explain it this way to people. So Jody and I can go on a vacation to a really cool place, and we did for our one of our anniversaries. But when we go to cool places with our closest friends, the shared experience is so much better than the experience of us by ourselves.
Mhm.
Because now we have people that we talk about on, hey, you remember when? And then we tell the stories, and it's so much easier to go and mentally take ourselves back to that place and that time and re-enjoy the time.
Mhm.
It's no different with faith. You get around people with faith. If you're praying and walking through things that are hard and difficult, and you do that with a group of people, you can also years later celebrate with that same group of people and go back. Hey, you remember when? Man, I remember when. I remember you guys being with me. I remember how hard it was. And I remember here's where it began to turn around, but it wasn't a complete turnaround. And, here I am. I have no idea how we got through whatever XYZ thing is. Like, you got people you can share that with rather than just in your mind. It's, yeah, together. It sounds like we got a bumper sticker going. Together is better. Um, it really, truly is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're not we're just not meant to live solo. Like, and I'm not using that as a theological stance about marriage or what. I'm just saying that it's very evident that in anthropology that humans cannot be isolated from other humans. We need human contact. Study after study after study, they have taken human beings and isolated them, and they go insane. Like
Yeah.
every time, the result is the same. They lose their minds.
In a relatively short amount of time. When
Yeah,
you watch
happens quick.
those shows where they drop someone off in the wilderness by themselves,
Yeah, I love those.
and the biggest battle they face, now sometimes it's the mosquitoes. Sometimes the mosquitoes win.
Or the bear or whatever.
But if they get past those things, the reason that they call in, give up, whatever, isolation.
Yep. Every
Isolation.
one of them missed somebody or
Mhm.
something.
Yep.
Mhm.
You know,
Remember, they're like, "I want my
everybody
family, I
goes
want my
in
friend."
thinking, man, I could just sit out here the rest of my life. Ain't nobody done it yet.
Right. Now,
And
again,
they have
there's also
shelter.
the
They have found a way to get a food source. They've got everything that they need.
right.
Isolation kicks in and they come home.
Now, the inverse is also important to understand that there are times, and Jesus modeled this, where you do need to pull away, but it wasn't like, I mean, it was as brief as it needed to be.
Yeah.
And so there are times where our experience with Jesus is private. Like there are times when Jesus does something and it's just between you and him. There are times when, that there's corrective measures in your life that are just
Yeah.
between you and him. But then there are other times where provision is communal and correction is communal and whatever. And so, yeah, it's just that balance of understanding and knowing that, not living in the extremes, whatever the extreme is, not living too far in either direction. Jesus was a middle guy. Like he stood in the middle so that he could stretch his arms out and reach both sides,
Yeah,
right?
I
Like
think
both
that I
extremes.
one of the things that I have enjoyed the last 2 Sundays, and if you haven't watched our Sunday messages, you should go back and watch, um, part 1. I think part 2 actually premieres here in 45 seconds. You go back and watch the premiere of those where we do a prayer exercise, because
Mhm.
we are doing 2 things simultaneously. We're all together having a shared experience, but then we are training ourselves to be still with our own thoughts and our own
Mhm.
self. And I was with a group of people last night. We do a thing called Faith on Tap once a month. And so we were at a pub and we were talking about this topic. And many people, let's just say, many people had a really hard time with stillness.
Uh-huh.
And I I I knew that would be the case, which is why if you watch the video or come here live, there's some music, not distracting music. There's no words. It's some pads and a guy on a guitar. That's on purpose because
Mhm.
most of us can't handle complete quiet. And so we put something to stop that. And a lot of them were remarking about that. Like, man, the thing that I learned is I can't be still.
Yeah.
It's my all kinds of things. Thoughts take over. Something distracts me. It's just all kinds of stuff that was happening. And to your point, Jesus did this and modeled for us. We need to go have these moments of quiet and stillness. Um, but we are disciples of the internet, and there's nothing quiet. There's nothing still about the internet. You've got web browsers open and one of them's playing music and you can't figure out which one it is.
Mhm.
Like
Exactly.
that's life. But life giving is learning this, and this is why historically this kind of exercise, now we're not replicating something word for word, but this kind of exercise is contemplative. You can go look that up. Was considered a spiritual discipline.
Yep.
You got to train yourself for
Well,
this.
it's like these monks. They live in isolation. I mean, they're together, right? Like but they don't live outside of their compound, their temple. And the reason why they've engaged outside of their little world is because they feel it's out of balance. It's chaotic. And if you were to take that concept and just think about your own life, there is so much chaos around us and in us, right? Inside us, there's chaos. And when we get still, there's nothing to block out the chaos. Like we have to face it. We're forced to face it. And you think about every movie where someone has to go face their greatest fear. Remember the show Fear Factor? I think it's
Oh
making a
yeah,
comeback.
that creeps me out
Um,
a lot, man.
right?
Put
Like
somebody in a box with
facing
spiders, I am out.
Yeah, facing your fears. The reason why that is so debilitating, right? It's the same concept. And, think about the number of people, and by the way, I'm in this category. Think about the number. I can't go to sleep if I don't have a fan on, or whatever, a noise machine, or what. Like, I get it, and I use brown noise, right? Since my head injury, I use brown noise because it helps my brain do stuff while I'm sleeping, helps it rest. But just think about that. Like, silence is eerie. Silence is scary because we have to face the things that we've covered up with noise. And you're right, it is a discipline. We have to discipline ourselves to sit in silence, and because when you do, you're gonna face the things that you've been putting off, you're gonna face the things that you don't wanna think about, you're gonna which, by the way, I think that's kind of the reason why some people don't experience Jesus, is not because they can't, it's because they're afraid of what's gonna happen when they do.
Yeah, there's a fear, and we talked in the group. We talked about this fear, and what I unearthed out of it is there's a fear that God, through Jesus, is going to bring guilt, shame, and condemnation. All the
Mhm.
things that He says He doesn't bring, but we have a
Right.
fear. Now, conviction, sure, but conviction doesn't come with guilt and shame and condemnation. It's
Right.
God is doing something out of love for you, not out of spite, not out of hate, not out of, I hope you get what's coming. And that kind of unearthed a little bit. Like, no, I'm just afraid because you get with your own thoughts, and it's good to notice those things. And we haven't done as much of this in exercise. You can only do so much in 3, 4, 5 minutes. We're actually going to do a longer prayer exercise a week from today on January 21st, right here at the church. You can come for dinner at 6. At 7 o'clock, we're going to do a longer prayer exercise. But there's an exercise you can go to where you notice those things. And then as you notice them, you set them in front of Jesus and you say, what do I do with this?
Mhm.
What would you want me to do with this? What does this mean that I keep noticing this? And it's you'll get some very revealing things when God says,
Mhm.
"Yeah, have you noticed how much your thoughts are on money?"
Mhm.
Like, and then he'll give you something that's behind that. Like, you think it's all up to you.
Right.
There's just I might be speaking personally about some things. Like, there's just the Holy Spirit has a way of taking something that you notice and giving you something that's 6, 7, 8 layers deep below that. You go, oh.
Right.
And then he wants to bring healing if healing needs to take place to that thing. Hey, can you just
Mhm.
turn that over? You don't get there by rushing by. Yeah,
Right.
I was using this as an illustration last night during the group because we were talking about busyness. Here locally, down from us is a church in Stallings Methodist Church, and they have a bell tower. Did you have any around in when you were in Indiana that had a bell tower or anything like that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So their bell towers, and that's not a real one. It plays recorded music, but it is bells that they play. And every 15 minutes they go off. They're beautiful. They're wonderful. And in the warmer months, when I go past and I've got the sunroof open and the windows down, it's like, man, that is so cool. But I'm going so fast that when I pass them, they're all warped and distorted and it sounds weird, and I wouldn't
Mhm.
even know what that was when I said, "That's how most of us that's how we hear God.
Yep.
We're
It's
going so
startling.
fast, we've gone past him, and he sounds warped and distorted and weird." If I were to pull over in the parking lot of Stallings Methodist Church, I could sit and listen to the bells the whole time that they toll,
Mhm.
and it would sound the way it's supposed to sound. Getting still is that. We have God, I don't want to hear you distorted. I've got to train myself to stop, slow down, be still.
If there's a book, and if I butcher the title, I'm sorry, just Google the concept and you'll get it. I think it's called 3 Mile an Hour God. It may be God Moves at 3 mile an hour or something. I don't know. Anyway, But the whole book is about like non-hurried life. And basically the preface is God walks like Jesus walked from town to town, whatever. But you walk at approximately 3 miles an hour. But we're living our lives at 70 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So we're missing God. God is not in a hurry. He is not rushing. He is not panicky. He is not, I do this illustration on stage sometimes where, there's no emergency session in heaven. The Father's not calling the Son and the Spirit into a huddle going, I didn't see this coming or whatever. But he's also not in a hurry. He's not rushing. And we live our lives, and it's a banner. Like, so many people are so proud of how busy they are. Like it's some kind of badge, and it's not. It's not at all. It's killing it. It's killing humanity to move at the speed that we're moving at. And most of the time, you do just like you'll never get the beauty of those church. Which, by the way, we went by that church the other night.
Mhm.
Coming home, Roman had baseball practice over at Edna Love Fields, which, if you know where that's at. But so we come the back way through over by that church, and we had the windows down, sunroof open, and sure enough, Roman goes, "What is that noise?" It was the bells at the church, right?
Mm.
It's like, and I wasn't like running fast. I think it's like a 45 through there, so I was probably running 50. They'll give you 5 miles over, um, but again, even that, what I just said, that concept of I'm just going to go a little faster than I'm supposed to because I feel accomplished in that, and
Mhm.
but God moves at 3 miles an hour. And so when we slow
So
down,
true.
that's when we experience him. When we get in quiet, that's when we experience him. And again, it is a discipline. We've been disciplined, trained, discipled to be in a hurry. So we're going to have to retrain, rediscipline, be rediscipled in the ways of Jesus, which are just slow. They're slow.
Yeah, and as you're talking, the phrase that popped in my head is "speed is a lie,"
Mm.
and here's what I mean by that. I couldn't wait to be 18. I don't know if you remember that. I can't wait to be
Mhm.
18. And then when I was 18, I couldn't wait to be 21 because it wasn't exactly what I thought when I turned 18. And then when I was 21, I couldn't wait to be 30 because I thought 30, I get to be mature, and eventually you do reach an age where you can't wait to be the next milestone anymore. But my point is, when you live I can't wait until
Mhm.
we get that job, we get that promotion, we buy the car, we buy the house, we have the kid. It's never going to give you what you thought. And if you race to it, it's all a lie because you'll be on to the next thing. And it truly is a carrot on a stick. It is just when I thought I got here, the carrot moved.
Mhm.
And speed is a lie. Like just slow down. I love I think it was Rob Bell that said this when he was talking about God calling up Moses to the mountain on Sinai. And the way the text, at least how Rob explained the text, he tells Moses, "Come up on the mountain and be here."
Mhm.
Meaning, come up here, but that's not enough. I need you to be fully present while you're here.
Mhm.
And I think about that all the time, this concept of being fully present, because I'm not good at it. I'm racing to the next thing. My thought is going to the next thing. I think people struggle with this prayer exercise because they can't be fully present in the moment. They're already thinking about what's next. You
Mhm.
know, like, okay, how long is this going to go on? Is there going to be a line where we go eat? Because this was, on a Sunday, wherever your next goes. Your next could be, God, whatever you're doing here, can we just talk about the next thing? I don't know what it is. We have a hard time being fully present and always have if God is saying this all the way back to Moses. Come up on the mountain
Right.
and be here.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think about that a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah. We got to slow down. Got to slow
Yeah.
down.
So guys, if a couple of things as we kind of wrap up right here. If you want to go through a bit of a longer prayer exercise, again, we're probably not going to pray for an entire hour. That might tax you out some. We're going to do some Q&A. We're going to do a guided prayer time. We're going to come back and we'll do a little Q&A after that guided, and then we'll do another guided prayer time. So it's not, just a solid hour of praying. But if you're kind of curious and you would like to slow down a little bit and you would like to participate in experiencing Jesus, which is what I want for all of you, is to have some experience with Jesus. Sunday, January 20, I mean, not Sunday, Wednesday, January 21st, a week from where we're recording this. I suppose I'll get this up today. So at roughly a week, you can come to our campus during Family Club. If you come at 6, we have dinner, $10 for the whole family. If you're like, no, I got to work late, whatever, come at 7. 7's when we're going to start the prayer exercise. And we'll go about an hour. And then we'll be done. We'd love to have you with that. Each Sunday, we'll also do kind of an abbreviated thing. We're going to do it every week so that you can be able to experience that. So anyway, we'd love for you guys to hang out with us. Thanks for your time again, Christian. I know.
Absolutely. And hey, if you're in the path of these monks, take them your gas station food. Take them your favorite gas station food if they're walking by your community.
Yeah, I don't know what a North Carolina gas station food is.
Barbecue, right? Don't you think?
Barbecue. Yep. There we go. All right. I was just like, what would it be here? Barbecue. Yeah, thanks for that, man.
Maybe Noble Smoke will sponsor them. Shout out Noble Smoke. So.
There we go. All right. Well, thanks for your time. Thanks to you guys for spending an hour with us, and we look forward to seeing you hang out again. The bumper sticker, "Together is better." Sundays, we'd love for you to hang out with us and experience all that there is in finding Jesus together. See you guys.